Prince George is now 11 years old, and he's coming to the time in his life. He's sort of a mini adolescent now, that he will have to face the stepping up to the next stage of his education, and that means sitting a lot of exams. They don't any longer have the 11 plus, which is something his father would have sat, but there's other exams, and whatever school that George and his parents decide that they can send him to, they don't have the problems that you and I do, that they might have had to put his name down years and years ago. Um, they will have their choice of schools, and they can look at as many as they like, and they don't actually have to make a choice nearly as early as anyone else would. So they have that advantage. So they've looked at Eton. Prince William was at Eton. Prince Harry was at Eton. Um, his Prince Charles was at Gordonston. I don't think that they would be sending George there, because I don't think Kate would want him to be so far away. She probably doesn't want him to go to boarding school at all, and it's possible that he won't. But I mean, that's what makes Eton look very likely, because it is so near to where they're living. And that means that Prince Louis and Princess Charlotte will still be at their current school. If George gets into Eton, which of course he will just be down the road from them. Now, all this makes an enormous difference, because the royals are now under such scrutiny as to how much they cost the taxpayer, that the security, which is very expensive and we pay for these members of the royal family when they're at school, would be. So that's why Charlotte and Louis and George are all at the same school, Lambrook, at the moment. And if George went to Eton, it would be quite possible, to use the sort of same string of security to look after him. So it's all Windsor based, and that's why I feel it might well be Eton. And also, Eton is an extremely good school, and a lot of his friends will be going there.
For people going to Eton, what sort of preparation do they have to do? You mentioned something about exams. Do they have to do an exam to get in?
They have to do an exam to get in, and they have to pass certain exams. I think they do an entrance exam before they get in, and if they pass the Eton entrance exam, then they probably have to go through rigors of interviews and things. I mean, Eton's not 100%. It could well be Kate's old school, Marlborough, and it could be any number of good schools. It depends on exactly what kind of child George is and what would suit him. I mean, he strikes us as being rather shy, and not so forward as his sister, who just appears to be so confident. And Louis appears to be very confident. George appears to be a little more reticent. So they may feel that Eton isn't right for him, but there are so many good public schools, and I don't know if Eton is co-ed now, but if it isn't, it will be partly co-ed by the time that George goes there, I'm sure, and they will want that. I don't think Kate and William would want George to go to an all-boys school, not in this era.
Are Kate and William currently keen on sending their kids to where they went? So Kate's keen to send them to Marlborough, William's to Eton. Is there sort of like a differing in opinion on that?
I think that no, I'm sure that Kate and William are totally working in unison on it. I mean, Diana uh, and Charles wanted to send William to Eton. I think Charles just did not enjoy his time at Gordonston. It wasn't as bad as everyone makes out, but he didn't want to send his son away to a school so far away, and on the Moray Firth. I think what they want to do is, if their children are boarding, they want to keep them near, and that makes complete sense. That they are a family unit, and that makes it easier for everyone concerned. And as I've said, it makes it much easier for the security, which is Windsor Castle based, all the big securities around there. So I think that although Kate might favour Marlborough, I'm sure that they would both agree that it will be whichever school is best for William. And there might be a school that we don't even know about that they've looked at.
Yeah, apart from Eton and Marlborough, what other schools could be on the options for all of the kids, but George especially?
I think that the world is their oyster in schools. I mean, there's no school that's going to refuse to have them, and they might want to go to a more progressive school. They might want to go to a school, like a sort of lycée type school. They really have an enormous choice. But I suspect it will be a more traditional education because of the fact that they're members of the royal family, and they'll want them to know, the traditional uh, things of history and geography and English, and as well as languages. They'll want them, and probably things like science and engineering would be high up on their list as well, because that is the way forward for them to know about those kind of things.
Did William have a good experience when he went to boarding school? Do we know?
Yes, William did have a good experience. He enjoyed Eton. He made a lot of friends there, and of course, a lot of his friends from his previous school. I mean, his previous school was what they call a feed for Eton. So it was the exams in Ludgrove, his previous school, were designed to get these young kids into Eton as a first, or to one of the big colleges. So William did enjoy it there. I think yes. I mean, he was there are individual houses, and he had some friends of his in the same house. So it was very much like a family thing. These huge schools are divided up into individual houses, so that they're not suddenly in with sort of 2,000 boys. They're in a house, with 100 other kids at the most. So um, and I think that really worked very well for William. It worked less well for Harry, because Harry wasn't really intellectual enough for Eton. But Diana wanted him to go there because she thought if he doesn't go there, everyone will think he's stupid. But it wasn't. It was too much for Harry. He found it a big struggle, whereas William, sailed through quite easily.
Do the kids work with any sort of tutors to get them in school, or do they just literally have the nanny helping them? And then obviously Will and Kate are very hands-on parents. Do you know if there are extra staff at all?
Well, there wouldn't be any permanent extra staff helping the kids of the Waleses to to get into schools. But there are plenty of young university students who do come and give excellent tutoring. And I know Prince Charles had tutors, William had tutors, and I'm sure that if they need it, George and Charlotte, if but at the moment, I'm sure if George needs an experienced but young, fun tutor, he will definitely have them. If you can afford it, it's a wonderful thing to be able to do for your child, but most of us can't afford it.